So for today we will watch, I think 3 to 4 films just to sum up our physics lesson. And the first video is wiring a plug. So if this is how you can now compare, because here in our place we just use 2 wiring, just the neutral wire and the live wire. So in this video, observe and how it is done. Okay?
With the correct know-how, this is an easy job and can help to make your work area and appliances more safe and secure. And here's what you'll need to do the job. New 3-point plug, Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, wire strippers, pliers or wire cutter. You may need to change your plug if you've got a damaged plug head or any exposed or faulty wires. Remove the old plug head by releasing the central screw with a screwdriver. Remove the cap. Loosen the 2 bottom screws to release the clamp in the plug. Remember not to unscrew these fully. Keep one of the screws connected to the clamp, remove the other screw and put it away safely. Now you're ready to disconnect the cables. Start by releasing the screws on the terminals. Now use the screwdriver to release the cables. If the wires were damaged, cut off the old wires with the pliers. If you've just damaged the plug head, it may not be necessary to snip back the wires. However, if you have any faulty or loose wiring, it's important to snip back and start the job new. So with your new plug head, keep the information on the back of the plug for when you rewire. Start by releasing the cap with the central screw. Remember to hold on to any loose screws as you will need them for when you reassemble the plug. Next, release one of the screws on the cable clamp. And now we're ready to connect your cables. Using pliers, begin by removing the outer sheath on the cable. Carefully snip the outer sheath as not to damage any of the internal cables. You may need to indent the outer cable to release it. Next, feed your cable into the plug head, making sure there's an adequate amount of sheath for the cable clamp. First off, let's identify where each cable goes. All plug heads have internal markings to let you know which cable goes where. Brown goes to the line. Blue goes to the neutral. Green and yellow goes to the earth. Next, we need to cut our internal cables to fit their terminal length. Use the pliers to mark. Always give yourself plenty of cutting room. It's much easier to pare back if you have too much wire than if you cut too short, you'd have to start the process all over again. Next, use a wire strippers to expose about 10 mils of copper wiring at the end of each cable. To help the copper wiring fit more snugly into the terminal heads, we twist the copper wire until it's compressed. This ensures that there's no loose copper in the plug, which may lead to problems. Now, we're going to insert the individual cables into the terminals. If you need to, you can raise the terminal heads by pushing on the pins. This can make it easier to insert the wires. Once you have the first wire inserted, screw tightly to close, ensuring that there's no exposed copper. Next, insert the green and yellow cable into the earth terminal and repeat the process of closing the screw. Again, remember to check that there's no copper exposed and that PVC covering meets the terminal. If you need to, you can lift the terminal up slightly to provide ease of insertion. Although it's important to make sure there's no copper exposed, be sure not to over-insert the cable into the terminal head, as you won't provide an electrical connection. Before closing the clamp and putting on the cap, just check that each terminal is snugly in place with no copper exposed. And finally, it's important to make sure that each wire is fitted into the plug head. This will ensure that your cap will go on snugly. Now it's time to put the clamp over the cable. This clamp is to protect the cable and to prevent the internal wires from coming loose if the plug is tugged. Turn the plug and insert the second screw for the clamp. Make sure that the screw is engaging in the thread or checking it as you screw. Finally, place the cap on the plug head, ensuring it connects firmly with a clip. If the plug cap doesn't fit firmly, it could indicate that some of the internal wires are over the structure of the plug, so make sure not to force it. Always check that the amperage of your fuse matches your appliance. This is a 13 amp fuse. Smaller appliances such as lamps may take a lower amperage. If you don't have the correct fuse, you're not properly protecting your appliance. Before you close the cap, give the cable a quick tug to make sure that everything is firmly in place. And to finish, tighten the middle screw to firmly close the plug head. So there you go, it's as easy as that. You've just seen how to wire a plug. For more hints and tips, go to woodiesdiy.com.
Okay, class. So you already observed what is the difference between the wiring of the plug here in our place. So can you share what you have observed in the film we have just watched? So how you will compare now the plug that you are using here and the plug that is demonstrated in the film? Yes?
The plug here, we only have like 2 pins, and the one in the film has 3 pins.
Okay.
And I think so.
Okay, thank you. So let us identify what are the 2 pins that we use here. What are the 2? It's on the brown and the blue color, remember?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it? What type of wire? We have the live wire. And what is the other one?
Neutral.
Neutral. Okay. And what is the additional there? The green and yellow.
The earth pin.
The earth. Okay, the earth wire there. Okay, what is the other thing that you have seen there that is not seen in the plug that we're using here?
The fuse.
The fuse. Okay, how do you compare the fuse now? Oh, what can you say about the plug that they use there?
They have a fuse, we don't.
We don't. And how about the physical appearance? It's just the same?
It's a 2.
It looks like what? It is compared to a battery. It looks like a battery, isn't it? The
Yeah.
fuse. Okay. So again, there is the reminder about the use of the right plug. There is the how many amps? 13 amps. Okay. And it says there that we should know for a certain appliance like television or refrigerator or any computer that we use, there is a proper amps to be used for each appliance. Okay? Are we doing that? Are we applying here in our place?
No.
Or what does we do? What do we do when we buy a computer? Do we check on the amps that we use?
Yes.
Yes, no, yes, no. What? Yes.
No.
No. So we don't care. That's it. We just plug in, isn't it?
Yeah.
But here they have the reminder for the customers or the one using the appliance. They have, because they have different type of plug.
Yeah.
We have the plug inside the fuse is inside the plug. But here we don't have. We don't only have 2. Okay? So another, do you have anything to add about or say about the film, about the wiring of the plug?
No.
No more?
Yeah.
No more other differences you find? No more?
Yeah.
Okay. So next is the second video is about the importance of fuse and a circuit. Okay, before we had the video, so you are familiar with the fuse.
Yes.
Okay, so why do we need a fuse? Why?
Because we need to protect.
Okay, louder,
To
louder.
protect the circuits.
To protect the circuit. Okay. How about the circuit breaker? How does it work? How does it help us? How did it help us?
It helps out.
What?
We don't get shock.
You don't get
Shock.
shock. What else? Anything?
It provides.
Yes.
Yes. It protects our circuits from overloading.
Oh, overloading, yes. That's the main purpose there. That's why we have the fuse, we have the circuit breaker to avoid the kaboom! Okay, so let's have the video again, the second video.
This is the type of fuse that was often seen in homes. These have been replaced with circuit breakers in most cases now, but look at the bottom. It looks like the bottom of a light bulb, and in fact it's about the same size and shape as a light bulb. And there's a glass top here, you can see the wire. And basically what would happen with a fuse like this is the fuse just screws in, and so let's draw it like this. And that's it, there's no bulb up here. The electricity will just come in, say, through a metal contact with the side of the housing here. And there's a wire inside that might run like this and then down. And so the electricity flows through that wire and then out the contact at the bottom. So you put this in a place where you need to keep too much electricity from flowing. And then there's a glass top up here that allows you to see in and see if the wire is melted. These would commonly be used on the main power panel in a home. And I'll just draw a quick sketch. This is a big gray box. You can usually find it on a wall in your house, over in, say, the laundry room or utility room or in a closet or something. And there's usually a couple of big cables. They usually come in at the top. And if you open it up, and you don't want to take the cover off because it's dangerous inside, but these cables come down, and there were rows of fuses on each side, and the wires would branch out. And these little fuses, like I was drawing a picture of, or we were looking at, would screw in right here. There'd be a row down each side, and then the wires would run out here, and these would be going through the walls of the house. And so some wires would be going to the kitchen, some to the bedroom, some to the bathroom. Every circuit in your house ultimately ran back to one of these fuses. So electricity coming in from the outside would have to go through one of the fuses. And this was very important, because if you, say this wire runs over to your bedroom, and it's ultimately connected to these electrical outlets. Let me draw that a little bit bigger. This wire is ultimately connected to electrical outlets along the wall or walls of the bedroom, and everything you plug in that particular room is drawing power through this circuit. And there's usually roughly one per room. It depends on how the electricians wired the house when they built it. There's typically a circuit running to a bedroom, a circuit running, say, to the kitchen, a circuit running to the bathroom, and so on. There's usually a separate circuit to the air conditioner, a separate one to the dryer, a separate one to the stove. The devices that use a lot of electricity probably have their own circuit. But you might have several outlets on one circuit. And if you plug in a lot of things into these outlets, you're going to start drawing a lot of power through this circuit. And that could be a problem because too much power going through this circuit could cause this wire to get really hot. And it can get hot enough to start a fire. This wire is running through the walls, and the walls are typically made of wood. And houses have burned down just because of too much heat from too much electricity going through the wire. So having a fuse there is very important. The fuse will melt before the wire gets hot enough to start a fire. And that's the purpose of the fuse. And it would be a problem here. The fuses are typically rated with a certain amperage, and it would be a problem if the fuses were replaced with the wrong amperage. Suppose, for example, right there you had a 20 amp fuse, and you plug in a bunch of things. You plug in your computer, your stereo, your hair dryer, and so on. And then this fuse burns out, and everything in the room shuts off because the fuse has burned out. And so you say to yourself, "Oh, that's frustrating." You go to the closet, and you put in a new fuse right there, and then everything comes back on. But a minute later it burns out again because you have too much stuff plugged in, and it gets frustrating. So you go down to the hardware store and you get some more fuses, and you say to yourself, "I'm tired of that fuse burning out, so I'm going to replace that 20 amp fuse with a 30 amp fuse." And now you can hook in all this stuff into these plugs, and the fuse doesn't burn out because this fuse is rated at 30 amps. Now that's bad. The reason there was a 20 amp fuse here was because this wire isn't supposed to have more than 20 amps in it. And if you replace the 20 amp fuse with a 30 amp fuse, then you're allowing more electricity to flow through this wire than it was designed to handle. And that's the kind of thing that would typically start a fire. People replacing the fuse with one that's the wrong size or the wrong amperage, and allowing too much electricity to flow and too much heat to be generated, and a fire gets started. So fuses now have been replaced largely with circuit breakers, because circuit breakers, you can't easily do this. You can't easily replace them, so they're a lot safer. And they also respond a lot more quickly, so they're safer for that reason as well. Here's a picture of a modern panel box with circuit breakers in it. And it looks like the main power cable is coming in here from the side, although they usually come in from the top. Or actually, that might be the main power coming in from the bottom, right down there. But either way, the power's coming up, and it's going through these circuit breakers. Each little black thing here is a circuit breaker. And I think this is coming in from the bottom. And it goes through and then out to these wires. And someone's done a really nice job here of arranging all these wires that are usually not as neat as you see them here. But these wires are then running through the walls of the house to various places, to various rooms in the house. And you see some coming out on the right side as well. And if too much electricity goes through the circuit breaker, the circuit will trip. And basically what it is a little switch, and if it gets hot, the switch just flips over. And you don't have to replace it, you can just walk over there and flip it back. It might be a good idea to turn off a couple of devices in the room first, or whatever's on that circuit that caused it to trip. You would typically shut a couple of things down, and then you can go flip the circuit back. So it's a lot more convenient, it's a lot easier, and it's also a lot safer. In fact, I bought a house a few years ago, and when you buy a house, you want to buy fire insurance for the house. And the house had a fuse box, the old style fuses here, instead of a circuit breaker. And when I went to the insurance company to buy fire insurance for the house, they wouldn't sell me fire insurance unless I replaced the fuse box with a modern circuit breaker panel. And so I did that. I replaced it, or I had some electricians come and replace it, and then I was able to insure the house. And the current building codes call for circuit breakers instead of fuse boxes.
Hey, what can you say about the video? What do you learn about the video?
No, not
The fuse. It's the different type of fuse that they use. Okay? And then what else? So which is more important now? Because before the old times, they just used the fuse. But now they have the
circuit breaker.
circuit breaker. So why?
Safer. This
Right.
is more convenient.
More convenient and more
Safer.
safer. Okay, to avoid the problems and the fire and the explosion. Oh, about, do you remember they have the box, the drawing, and then so many wirings, connection. What did they say about that? You remember the 20A, and then it becomes the 30A. Why? What did they do? Anything?
Because it used the right type of
So use the right kind of fuse, yes. Especially if you have different kinds of appliances, 3 or 4, isn't it? So you don't make sure you have the correct fuse to use and avoid the overloading of the use of the appliances, especially the wiring. What else? What else did you remember about these things? Cow?
Yes.
You remember? What else did you learn? How do you go? Just compare. Beforehand, they use this kind of. Today we're just using the control panel or the circuit breaker. Yes. Are you aware where is it in our school?
It is
What
upstairs.
area?
Yeah,
What
upstairs.
area? Upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this kind of control panel, there is a lot of connection with the wirings, and they make this for a safer school because a lot of people here, a lot of students will be affected if there will be some problem with incorrect or not correct use of the wiring and the fuse and everything. Okay? So what can we say now about this lesson that we have about the fuse and the circuit?
It's very useful.
Yes.
Very
Very
useful.
important.
So for example, you will make your own house. You will make your own house. So what will be the first thing you should think of?
Electricity.
Of course, it can damage lives, isn't it? And it's an accident. We don't know where it can gonna be explode. You know, just this Sunday, just this Sunday, I experienced an explosion again. I'd like to share to you. No, we went, my friend and I go out, and then of course when we get inside, yes.
Goodbye, Joe.
Okay. So let me continue my short story. So when we get in the room, of course you switch off the light, and then it's hot. Oh, I plug in the electric fan. So when I plug in, it's the tube. I just put it like this, and then boom, and then my hands turn again to black. Yeah, and I just shout, and I thought it was my hand is on fire. I thought it was on fire, and it was my face is affected. Everything, every negative thought was there, but. It's that, and then there's a friend of ours outside the room pulled down something, so it was the
Circuit breaker.
circuit breaker. Okay, and then they say, "Oh, it's automatic! It's automatic! It's automatic!" They were shouting. So everybody's, and I think everybody has a problem there because we don't have electricity. Yes, and then because we use the extension, we always use that in our house, the extension,
Yeah.
yes, the extension cord, okay? So when they set the extension cord, the wire there explode, it was destroyed, it has a crack. Yeah. So we don't check it. So me and my friend, or I was the one mistaken there. Okay, so to avoid that, those experiences, so we should always check the plug because we are the one holding it and plugging it in and out. Okay, class? Okay? Okay, one last more. Okay, okay. One last. We still have time?
Yes,
Okay. Are we using the correct views? Okay, just have the...
What I've got here today is a whole bunch of fuses. Went out of August the other day from the local DIY store, and it's got a selection of fuses in from 3 amp, 5 amp and 13. So, but I needed to know what fuse to use in my appliance. Now, a kettle is a well-known appliance that draws a lot of electricity. But what fuse rating do I put in the plug for this? Well, to work it out, I need to know what the wattage is. What? Yeah, that's right, the wattage. Now, I'm going to look on the appliance, or the box that it came in, which you've usually chucked away. At the bottom here, we usually got a label, either like this, you have to turn towards the light to read, or a sticker like this. Now, it's got some gobbledygook on here that's, we wouldn't understand some of it. Anyway, I'll just tell you what it says, 220 to 240 volts for the United Kingdom, 50 to 60 hertz. But the one we're interested in here, it says 2500-3000 big W again, capital W. Now that means watt, the watts. So it draws, I'm going to go for 3000, the maximum there, 3000 watts. That's what I'm interested in. I need that figure. But I'm also interested in putting a fuse in this little lamp. I want to know the wattage again. What is the wattage of this lamp? Well, on the bottom here we've got the sticker again, but it doesn't tell me the wattage. And that irritates me, because I think it should. Because that helps us determine the fuse rating that we put in our plug. Anyway, up inside here, it says 60 watts. And that's the bulb that I'm going to use in this appliance. And nothing else is going to be used. I'm going to draw no extra. Got nothing that I can turn up. So the maximum is going to be 60 watts for that appliance, with just a bulb. So I'm going to work out the fuse that I need for that plug, which is going to be different to the kettle. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people just slam in a 13 amp fuse and misunderstand that that's not going to give them safety, especially with this, the lamp. Now, what I've brought here, the first one I've done, what fuse do I use? This is the kettle, and the watts that I've just determined are the label underneath 3000. This is how you work it out on a calculator. You divide that by the 240 volts coming in your house. This is in the United Kingdom, by the way. Oh, can I just say, I'm not an electrician, so if you need any further advice, or you want to question this, please consult a qualified electrician with any electrical appliances or anything electrical that you do, because you don't get a second chance if you get it wrong. Okay? So, anyway, 3000 divided by 240 gave me 12.5 on the calculator. Now I want a fuse amperage that is greater than that number, but as near to it as I can possibly get. And with that pattern that I just showed you a minute ago, the nearest I can get, obviously, is 13 amp. Next to 12.5, it's greater than, as near to as I can. Now the lamp was 60 watts. Again, I divided that on the calculator by 240, and it gave me a figure of 0.25. I was thinking, well, do I need to use something like 1 watt? Well, I've never seen a 1 watt amp fuse, so the lowest I've got in that packet is a 3 amp. So if there's a qualified electrician out there that can correct that for me and tell me there's a 2 amp available, please do so. I've never seen one yet. Anyway, I've just put down here something to be aware of. The residual current device, that's this acronym here, RCD, known as triple switches. You can get individual ones of these, or you can change a fuse box, the main fuse box in your house, to the residual current device. That detects surges of electricity and cuts off at that particular fuse. Now, again, I've done one here at the bottom. This hairdryer here, I needed to determine what fuse to put in here. Now on the side here, I found it. You have to turn it like 30 angle towards the light. Again, it's got all the usual information on here, but the one we're looking for is the W. 1,200 watts it gave me there. Again, I worked it out. 1,200 divided by 240 volts coming in the house equal 5. So I was able to just use a 5 amp fuse. Okay, so I hope that helps with your individual appliances for your safety aspect. Don't just keep using 13 amp fuses. Put the correct amperage in there. Again, if you're in doubt, go back to this YouTube video or consult a qualified electrician or Google it, whatever. But the last one I wanted to show you, which makes things a bit more confusing, and I'll try to explain it as simple as I can. Now I've got an extension here, an extension cable lead, whatever you want to call it. I've got 6 sockets, so it's a 6-gang extension. They're all individually switched. Okay. Now, each individual appliance you put on here, make sure it's got the correct amperage fuse. But what's important also with this is the plug that plugs into your, obviously your socket, your main socket. Everything's going to go through this. So the fuse that's in here has to be the correct one. And as it is a 13 amp fuse in here, and that's the highest you can get. Now the amount of electricity or the maximum wattage that's allowed through a 13 amp fuse, what is that? You think about the kettle, that was 3,000 and I needed a 13 amp fuse for that. Let's do the calculation the other way around. You see what I mean when I do it? If I think of a 13 amp fuse, that's like the answer with the kettle. If I reverse it, instead of dividing, I'm going to times it by that 240. And it's going to give me 3,120 watts. That's the maximum I can put through this extension. So if I put a kettle and a toaster and an hairdryer, I'm straight over the amount. I can't put, that's too much. There's too much wattage. So be aware when you put into an extension. You can put, you know, some lamps, your Christmas lights, that's not going to go with 13 amp. Add all the wattage together of each individual appliance that you put through here, okay? If you bought a kettle at 3,000 and a toaster at 2,000, you're already over it, forget the rest. It's just going to blow, it's not going to work. And then, next, as I said, you put Christmas lights on through that, they're low wattage, you're probably going to be alright, okay? When you're not using individual ones, like say you've got a mobile phone charger in there, just switch them off when you're not using them as well, because it continues to draw electricity. So yeah, remember that, 13 amp fuse, 3,120 watts is the maximum you can put through it. And to calculate that, you take the 6, well you've got plugged in here, add them all together. Okay, a lamp at 60, the toaster at 2,000, and other small appliances. Just don't go over 3,120. As I said, I hope that helps you. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions or suggestions for making the video better, please let me know. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay. That was a different type of extension cord. Okay, do we have like that? The switch?
No.
No, we don't have that.
Yes, but
Yeah, we
just
have.
two switch.
Two switch, but that one is 4. Oh, that will be very big. So, the one that we buy in the electric shop, we don't have the switch. It's the normal. The most customer or most people just use the plug with 3, and then anything can be plugged on it. Isn't it? That's what we do in our house.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then, so what are the appliances that they have? The kettle,
Hair dryer.
hair dryer, and
Lamp.
the lamp. Okay. Do we do that? Look at the small paper at the back of each appliance that we buy. No. So I think we must look on it, isn't it? Sometimes we just buy and then use the, oh, I need an extension cord here. So we just use it. And I think in the country UK, United Kingdom, they are very much aware of the use of the correct use of fuse or amps for each appliance. Okay? What are the things you observe? How it differs from our place? Anything? Your observation? Because they have different type of fuse, electric material. So what can you say about that?
You need to choose the right fuse for every electrical material.
Yeah. And I think I give you homework. Just get your favorite appliance when you go home today. Example, the hair dryer for girls. You do some hair drying.
Yes, of course.
Okay. And then the lamp. You have that in your room.
Of
Yeah,
course, we
we
do.
want to bring out lamps.
We have a lot of them.
No, just look at the small paper under it, and just observe what is written there. Okay, so we must be aware. We are studying these things to avoid problems and make our life more safer. Okay, class?
Okay.
Okay, do you have any question?
No.
Question? No more? Okay, so make sure you have the your favorite appliance next week. No, just tell me what have you observed, what is written there, so we can discuss it next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.